Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Low Back Pain Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Grant Elliott with RehabFix online low back program. And today's topic is how to get back to squatting pain-free, how to improve your squat form and performance so that you can feel better squatting, feel smoother squatting, and squat more weight. Last topic, episode 31, was actually a discussion on food inflammation and my personal experience with how certain foods and certain dietary patterns actually can exacerbate my own previous injury symptoms, and how I have found a direct correlation to certain foods and inflammatory responses that you might be experiencing and that could potentially be causing flare-ups, low back flare-ups, or other injury-related flare-ups, or just preventing you from fully recovering to the extent that you could. So if that is something that you may find interesting, be sure to go listen to episode 30. But today's topic is all about the squat. So squatting is a fundamental movement. Everybody should be able to squat, right? There's no arguing that. Every time you sit down or up from a couch or chair, that is a squat. Every time you sit on the toilet, that is a squat. Every time you, fill in the blank. There's many movements that involve the ability to squat. And this is a movement that you want to be proficient at throughout your entire life for basic fundamental movement. Now, many of you value getting back to squatting pain-free, maybe improving your squat, being able to put more weight on it, get a little bit deeper, improve your form, improve your performance. And I'm going to discuss all of those things and the key steps that I go through to perfect my own squat to the best of my ability, and also how you can go through certain steps to achieve this better form, this better performance, and how, if you happen to be struggling with low back pain with squatting, a way that we can transition you back under a barbell in an efficient manner. So first off, let's discuss squatting form. Let's get the form down first, and my key tips for this before we discuss the steps to grade you back into a full barbell squat. Okay? So one of the first things I want to discuss, and I'm going to keep this really simple. This could be a 1 hour discussion. Realistically, I have made some videos on this, but I'm going to keep this pretty simple. Some of you may be watching on YouTube. You might have a slight benefit for some of the hand gestures I'm going to make, but most of you are listening. So I'm going to try to make this as simple and concise as possible. Okay. First off, I talk about belly breathing all the time. We got to learn how to belly breathe so that we can create appropriate intra-abdominal pressure while we squat. I will discuss when I create that pressure and when I release that pressure. But let's pretend here that I have just unracked the barbell out of the squat rack. I take a few steps back and I select the appropriate width that I feel comfortable with. My foot placement, the appropriate width that my feet are apart. Here's where these steps will begin. Sure, there's some techniques for even unracking the bar, for walking back with the bar, for your feet width, for if you should rotate your feet out. There's tips for all those things. That's not what I'm discussing. I'm assuming you know how to walk it back. I'm assuming you're in a comfortable stance, but how can you improve the way that the squat feels, the exertion you can have with it, your motor output, and the way that it feels overall, to reduce pain and improve mechanics and those things. Here are the steps that I do. Okay. Starts from the ground up, right? So step one, you're going to screw your feet into the floor. Now, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I'm going to demonstrate with my hands. For you listening, just try to imagine what I'm doing. Imagine I'm putting both hands flat on the floor, okay? Flat on the floor. Now, with both hands, I'm going to keep pressure into the floor, into the ground, and I'm going to rotate them away from each other outwards. So my left hand, I'm going to rotate to the left. My right hand, I'm going to rotate to the right. It's like I'm spreading something apart, okay? I'm spreading the floor apart. So I'm pushing my hands on the ground, and then I'm rotating them both away from each other outwards. That's exactly what you're going to do with your feet, okay? So you have a soft stance. Your knees are soft, right? You're not fully locked out. You get your feet in a good placement. You keep your feet gripped into the floor. You splay those toes. You get a good grounding into the floor. And then you rip the floor apart with your feet. You pull your feet away from each other by screwing them into the floor. It's torque. So they're not going to all of a sudden rotate outwards like 20, 30 degrees. That's not what's going to happen. They're going to rotate only a little bit because you're keeping pressure into the floor. You're ripping the floor apart. What should happen is your knees should slightly rotate outwards. They should torque outwards. Your hip should slightly torque outwards. And in return, you should feel significant hip engagement, glute engagement, glute med engagement, and even some core tension in regards to the low back and kind of the QL. That's what I'll feel sometimes. You should feel some significant engagement through these areas because everything is tensed up and now properly tensioned. It's kind of like imagine like a rubber band. It's taut. It's ready to go. Okay. So that's my cue with the feet. Spread the floor apart. Feel the tension go through the knee, through the hip, into the glutes, and even into the low back a little bit. Flexing those glutes and getting those glutes engaged. It ties in to fascia that connects to the lower back. And of course, the muscles will help to be engaged as well to support that lower back. So that's why that's important. After you get the feet ready, now we're going to get the belly ready. We're going to take a big belly breath, create intra-abdominal pressure. That means we expand the belly 360 degrees. I've made multiple videos on how to do this. I can't necessarily just talk you through how to master that right now within this podcast. These podcasts are usually around 15 minutes long. If you want to learn how to master this, either one, sign up for my program, or two, go through the many videos that I have created on this topic. This is a crucial topic. Okay, so you get your feet screwed in. You feel the tension go all the way through the legs, into the glutes, into the low back even. Now we create big pressure with the belly. Big inhale. Boom. Brace that belly. That's step 2. Step 3, hinge first to initiate the squat. Hips go back first. With any lift, the first joint that moves is the joint that takes all the load. So if you're standing with 300 pounds on your back, getting ready to squat, and the first joint that moves are your knees, that means 300 pounds is going into your knees. If you hinge first, if you push those hips back first, I also have multiple videos on how to master these initial steps, then the hips are taking the 300 pounds. What do you think has more support and is designed to carry more load, your knees or your hips? You better be saying your hips. You got those glutes, biggest muscles in your body, right? Those glutes are ready to take that load. And if you hip hinge first, your glutes will take the load. It will initiate a good hinging pattern. And then as you're hinging back, then you begin to descend into your normal squatting routine while maintaining the foot engagement, the belly engagement, and then the hinging motion is the final step. I exhale through closed teeth or through a closed mouth on the way up. So it's a resisted exhale. It's not just a whew. You're going to lose all your belly pressure if you did that. Maybe it's a sss on the way up. Maybe it's a grunt on the way up, whatever. It's a resisted exhale, like you're blowing through a straw. That keeps tension, but also keeps regular breathing patterns. Then once I'm at the top, maybe I'll take 1 or 2 breaths and reset and perform these steps every time. That is the squat setup. Just by mastering those things, and I have made an IGTV on this. I have made a YouTube video on this. I'm going to leave the link to that video so you can see the visual demonstrations and me actually performing it. I'm going to leave that link in the show notes. So go ahead and click that link in the show notes if you wish to see that. Now, you got the form down. Okay, you got the form down, but Grant, I got low back issues. I got sciatica. I got a disc herniation. Every time I try to barbell squat, it kills. Even with those tips, it kills. So how do we grade you back to full barbell squats with good weight and pain-free? Here's how we do it. It's a manipulation of where the load is placed, and it's a manipulation of the depth that you go. So instead of just saying, oh, well, we're just going to keep doing barbell squats even though they really hurt, we're not going to do that. Let's grade you into it. So here's an example. This is one example. This is a common route that I choose that tends to work quite well. But remember, everybody's different. This is not a recipe book. This is not a catch-all. This is just an example of a method that tends to work well. So here's what you would do. Let's just say you start with a goblet squat. A goblet squat is when you hold an implement in the front of your body, typically a dumbbell or a kettlebell. You hold it directly almost under your chin against your chest, because holding the weight, the load in that particular position will help you maintain a more upright posture, which for some people, for most people, tends to feel a little bit better on the lower back. That alone is going to keep you more upright. Still, once again, practicing these same principles. But let's limit your depth first. So instead of trying to go all the way down, if you're still sensitive with that, let's put a box behind you. Maybe we only do a quarter squat, whatever a quarter squat is to that person, right? Because not everyone's supposed to squat, quote, ass to grass. Not everyone is supposed to squat to 90. There's different depths for different people. So I'm not going to say, 1/4 a squat is this arbitrary degree. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say 1/4. Okay. So if we want to go about this really, really clinically, right, or really, really focused, maybe we just do 1/4 a squat with, let's just say 20 pounds. Okay, for those of you who are in other areas of the world, let's just say 10 kg. All right, 10 kilograms. So you got your goblet squat going. Good spine positioning, feels a little bit better on your low back. You're not as pitched forward, and you're just squatting 1/4, because we know if you squat to half your normal depth, man, that low back starts to act up. So let's load it to 1/4 then. No problem. Let's say you can do that with 20 pounds, 1/4, no problem. We do that for a week, feeling good. We do that for, let's say, 3 sessions. Feel good. All right, let's increase the weight. Let's do 30 pounds. Feels good for a week. Let's do 40 pounds. Feels good for a week. 50 pounds. Feels good for a week. Okay. We're starting to load the back a bit now. That's fantastic. We're loading the back with 1/4 depth. Once we get to a relatively appropriate amount of weight, not like anything super crazy, but it's not still super light, we want to load enough weight to know that we've created some adaptation. Okay. I wouldn't say from 20 pounds to 30 pounds. All right, ready to move up. In regards to the next step, which is changing depth, I would want to see a little bit more load placed on it. I would want to know that the discs, the joints, the nerves have been able to handle that load first. So we're doing 1/4 squat. We went from 20 to 50 pounds, let's say. Steadily over time, you feel good. All right, now, previously, when you did 20 pounds at the halfway mark for the squat, it was painful. So now let's drop the weight from 50 back down to 20. And let's do a half squat. Oh my gosh. Feels better now. Once again, I'm talking very generally here. It does go this smoothly for some people, which is great, but this isn't a recipe book, okay? This is why people like me have a job, okay? Because it requires some specific coaching sometimes to get back to doing things without low back issues, okay? So it's not always this simple, but maybe it could be for some of you out there. So you do the 20 pounds, you go back to the halfway now, pain-free. Awesome. That's beautiful. That's progress. Now we do the exact same thing. We go halfway with 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, maybe over the course of a month. Okay. Now let's do 3/4 a squat. 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds. Now we can do 50 pounds with a 3/4 squat pain-free. Now let's do a full squat, whatever a full squat is to you. Full squat could be ass to grass. Full squat could be 90 degrees. Full squat could be 60 degrees, whatever. I don't care. Okay. Whatever requires movement in your life, whatever you need to be able to achieve. So now you're going full 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds. Okay. You're confident. You're doing 50-pound goblet squat all the way down. No pain at all. Time to get to a barbell. Ideally, you get back to that barbell. Feels good. You got the mechanics right. You got that form mastered by this point. It's been like 3 months of you practicing this. Your form is solid. So you get that barbell on your back. Your mobility is better. Your mechanics are better. Your stability is better. Beautiful. Now we start to load up the squat in the exact same way. That is how you can improve your squat, improve the form of your squat, improve the performance of your squat, and get a stronger squat while you're at it, and a method behind scaling back to full barbell squats if you are someone with low back pain, disc herniation, or sciatica, in a method that you can use to get back to squatting pain-free. Now, here's the only hang up, okay? That will work for you if you have addressed the root of your issue. If you have disc herniation, sciatica, you have nerve symptoms, all that, and you just ignore those things, you're just, okay, well, I just want to be able to squat pain-free, so I'm going to do this method that Grant is talking about. It's not going to work if you have not calmed the nerve down, if you have not calmed the disc down, if you have not found the movements the disc likes or your low back likes to feel better and to remove the symptoms. It's not going to work, okay? You have to resolve the root of the issue. This is a very good example on how to get back to squatting pain-free if you are also doing the right rehab for your low back. If you're doing the right rehab for your low back, you're getting symptomatic relief, you're calming the disc down, you're calming the nerve down, then this will work great for you most of the time. It will work great for you. So, find the right rehab, find the right coach. Maybe that's me. Maybe it's not. If you've been struggling to find the right help, then submit an application so you and I can work one-on-one together using the link in the show notes or on the description on YouTube. And we can go through this process together, address the root of the issue, and then scale you back to squatting pain-free. If you're someone who's just kind of been having maybe a nagging back injury, you can possibly jump right into this method that I discussed, and it might work for you. And if it does, I'm extremely happy for you. And please leave a comment letting me know. Share this with a friend who has low back issues, who's struggling to find the right help. So maybe this will help them, or maybe I will eventually have the chance to help them, or whatever I could be of service for. And if you found this podcast to be helpful or interesting in any way, and you want to help out with a zero cost way, please leave a 5-star rating and review if you wish, if you feel as though I deserve it, on podcasts to help boost this podcast reputation and reach more people. And if you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe for the algorithm and to not miss any future podcasts or other videos that I post on YouTube. And of course, everybody who is listening should be following me on Instagram at RehabFix. So thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this, for caring about the things that I have to say. Stay motivated within your own rehab. I hope you are finding things useful from these, and every single day working towards learning how to fix your low back. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.